And we're going to start with the young guys. We're going to start with the rookies. Owen Power is Mason McTavish is the favorite here. Owen Power right behind him, though. Odds makers, once again, they're pricing this like a 2-horse race between the two of them. I like some players down the board, but Nick, you're doing a little shopping at the top.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on Owen Power entering this season. We saw at the end of last year just how good he is at the NHL level. And a huge part with this award is the opportunity. We need players, like a big part of it, you're banking on a guy getting in the lineup, getting consistent minutes. And I think the chances that Owen Power, we basically know he's going to play a huge role with the Sabres this season. And he has the talent to be dominant. So yeah, I think we've got a slam dunk with Owen Power at the top of the board.
Yeah, he's around 4.5 to 1 plus 450. We just saw a defenseman win the Calder Trophy last year. That was Moritz Seider at 12 to 1. So not out of the question. And staying with that team, I like JJ Peterka. He's 50 to 1, 50 to 1. The Sabres love him. He put up 80 points in 80 games in the AHL. That's including the playoffs last year as a 20-year-old. And like Nick said, like the Sabres they're totally okay with playing these young guys. So the fact that Power and Jack Quinn are on this team, that's kind of sucking up a lot of the value, I guess, when you're looking at Calder odds on the Sabres. So I went into this thinking whoever's going to be the third highest, or excuse me, whoever's going to be the longest of those three was the one I was going to play. And I was happy that it was Peterka. I think 50 to 1 is a great number on him. Pete, what are your thoughts here on the Calder Trophy, on Power, on Peterka? Anybody else you think could sneak this thing?
Well, I'll mention one other Sabre that you kind of mentioned. Jack Quinn was AHL Rookie of the Year last season, and I'm interested to see where he could slot in too. And very quietly, I think the Sabres are kind of a sneaky little sleeper team out there, whether it's the awards market or fantasy or any other futures things. Nobody's picking them to make the playoffs right now, but they might have one of the sneakiest, best young cores in the whole league, right? From like a keeper league standpoint and a just 25 and under standpoint. It's crazy the youth that this team has assembled. So don't sleep on Buffalo in any format, and any of those guys I think has a nice case. Our fantasy rookie rankings are led by Matty Beniers from the Kraken. So I wanted to just mention him because I'm really high on him. He had 9 points in 10 games last year in his NHL trial. He is potentially going to be playing with one or both of their offseason acquisitions, whether he's on the first line or the second line, right? They have Andre Burakovsky and Oliver Bjorkstrand, both coming off career seasons, and both are going to be in top flight roles. I think they should be. I would love to see the three of them together. And if the three of them are together, guys, I think that he could eclipse 60 points like maybe McTavish can, and it could maybe be a 2-horse race between those two forwards.
Yeah, Beniers, he's the third favorite, just ahead of Kent Johnson. Another player I want to throw out here, this one is a bigger long shot than Peterka, and it comes down to one thing. Dylan Holloway is 75 to 1. He's less of a guarantee for that opportunity that Nick was talking about. We don't know if he's going to even crack the opening day roster. But if he does, that roster includes Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And they're not, if he does make the team, they're probably not just going to want to bury him in a bottom six role. He could end up playing with McDavid or Draisaitl, and if it clicks, he stays there. And so it's almost worth just putting a little bit of money on Holloway just to find out if he does develop some chemistry with one of the two best players in the world. Any sense there, Nick?
So any sense? Sorry.
No, the Sens are done. They're
Okay.
called their trophy. Their called their trophy days are done. Any sense in the strategy of targeting Holloway?
Yeah, totally. I can see where you're coming from. The one I completely like the logic. If he gets the big role with McDavid or Draisaitl, he's gonna put up points. The one concern that I would say I have is that I actually think I could see them using him as a third line center, which who knows? And I obviously lines shuffle, so at some point he's probably going to get a chance regardless to make things click with one of the big guys. But I just think that would be the one concern I would have with that logic.
And Pete, before we move on to Jack Adams Award, any sleepers here you want to touch on?
So a top 5 of our fantasy rookie rankings, I mentioned Beniers and McTavish and Owen Power. The 4th and 5th guys on our list, again, it's for fantasy, but it translates. I think it has good crossover. So Jake Sanderson, would not be surprised at all if he scores more points than Owen Power this season, because he's on that Senators offense that got loaded. Even if he's on the second power play, he's going to be playing with guys like Drake Batherson, or maybe Norris if it's more of a Giroux, DeBrincat, Brady Tkachuk first power play with Shabbat. If Shabbat gets injured like he has in recent years, right, he'll be up top on one of the best power plays in the league, maybe at least one of the most improved units that I think could be a top 10 unit this year with an even higher ceiling. So Jake Sanderson, we were hoping for like a little bit of a trial from him last year, but he was dealing with that injury after he came over from college. But the Sens are loaded offensively, and I think Sanderson's going to put up a lot of points. And then the 5th guy on our list is Logan Thompson, because like you guys said, opportunity. Sometimes opportunity, right? Owen Power, number 2 defenseman for the Sabres. Sanderson, number 2 defenseman for the Senators. Matty Beniers, maybe he's more of a second line center. McTavish, maybe he's more of a second line left wing. And then all of a sudden you look at the potential starting goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights, who, if they're healthy, I think we all expect them to, at the very least, be a fringe playoff team. So that could mean, right, near, not a guarantee, but a really good chance at 25 to 30 wins for Logan Thompson if he's the 1A or the clear starter, because Robin Leonard's out for the whole season.
Yeah, and just to piggyback that, Pete, I did have Sanderson circled as my second favorite Calder pick. He can be had at about 25 to 1, and I think that's really strong. I'm with you. He could easily end up their number 2 defenseman on a team that could score a lot more goals this season. So yeah, I totally think the upside is there for Sanderson this year.
And Nick, you and I, we've talked about Logan Thompson. We'll talk about it a little later in the show too. The number's probably just a little too short in this market to like fully be into it, but I could listen to anybody talk about the logic of he's got one of the best paths to success, I think, in this market, to win the award. Whether or not you want to put so much weight into what we saw out of him last year, because it was a pretty small sample size, that's another argument you can listen to as well, but you're pretty high on him.
Yeah, totally. I'm high on Thompson for sure. I mean, we've touched on it, but how many goalies are you really thinking are rock solid heading into this year? It's a pretty short list of starters where we're pretty much they're going to be a high quality option. And it is a small sample, but I think Thompson, what he showed at the end of last year, he was so strong that, yes, same thing, a lot of upside there for Vegas. And I think Vegas are a great bounce back target this season.